Welcome back to Weekend Express, and well, it's time for us now to have a different conversation. And we all do know that we have been facing a time where Kenya has drought, and well, the situation on the ground may be different from what maybe we have seen so far. But yeah. Joining me in the studio this morning is Laila Chepkemboi, who is a special program manager for Red Cross. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning to you.
Yes, and well, let's start off first of all, being that Red Cross is on the ground in pretty much across the country in many drought-stricken areas. Maybe you can paint for us the picture as it is right now.
Okay, as it is right now, it's known all over this country that around 1.3 million people are facing drought. By September last year, 1.3 million people are facing starvation because of the drought. And at the moment, it's over 2 million people. And that the government, central government, say that 2 million people in Kenya are facing starvation.
Right.
That is the reality. Drought is real in this country. Kenya Red Cross has been in a number of counties where this drought are happening, and it's real. What we are seeing is acute food shortages, acute water shortages, and people are actually starving. There's a lot of hunger, and basically it's because of the poor rains that we experienced in the month of March, April, May in 2016, and then October, November, December. There was also poor short rains. Yeah.
All right, now we've seen some of the footage, you know, we have livestock dying. We've also had reports of people who are dying in certain areas. And we know that since Red Cross has a very good reach and foothold in some of these areas, is it exaggerated?
It's not exaggerated. Actually, the situation is as it is. Whatever you've seen in the media is what is in the ground. You see livestock dying. Yeah. You see livestock dying, and they're dying in large numbers. And places like Marsabit, Lamu, livestock are dying in large numbers, Kilifi, and we are seeing it's having very bad effects on the pastoralists, where even some of them are actually, you've heard that they are having mental problems, and some of them are committing suicide because they are losing their livelihoods. Their
livelihoods. And for some of them, livestock is really not just livestock, but it's a form of wealth and what they hold on to. Now, I had also seen that Red Cross has put out an initiative to raise a certain amount of money. I think it is 2 billion, to basically take care of this. What exactly is it that Red Cross would be looking at supplying other than just, you know, your normal food?
Okay, on Friday, Kenya Red Cross launched an appeal of 1 billion to support 1 billion Kenya shillings to support approximately 240,000 people in 13 counties in the arid and semi-arid lands. And so what we are looking at is to support these communities, especially the pregnant and lactating, the under 5 children, the disabled, the elderly, who are now, I think, most affected than any other population. With nutrition outreaches, we want to treat malnutrition. There are around 300,000 children who are malnourished, severely and moderate, and we want to reach out to them through nutrition outreaches. We also want to support the households that are actually facing a lot of food insecurity because of this drought. People are actually facing starvation, and they are, eating only 1 meal per day. And other households are even going for 2 days without food. Without food.
Now, from your experience, drought is not something that is not, it doesn't get us purely by surprise. It seems like every time it comes, we have like a pre-warning that it is coming. What is it that we get wrong every single time?
The early warnings are provided by various agencies, like the National Drought Management Authority, the Kenya Meteorological Department, who told us that the weather would be bad, especially between October, November, and December. The NDMA, National Disaster Management Authority, have been providing early warnings every month. And the indications have been that the rains will fail. More counties are going to be affected. Even as we are speaking now, more counties are at alarm stage, meaning that the livestock, the crop production, the water. There is acute food and water shortages. And the early warnings have been there.
We've been told. Just a lack of planning that we don't end up, because 1 billion shillings, if that is raised right now, what will that do? Is that going to feed all the people, and for how long?
When the 1 billion Kenya shillings is going to be raised, it's going to support 340,000 people, which is like a third, or 340,000 out of 2 million people who are affected. It's not going to reach out to all the people.
To all of them.
Yeah, it's just part of the affected population. The government is also doing some activities, relief interventions. Other agencies are doing. So this amount, 1 billion Kenya shillings we are requesting for, is just to support part of that. Remember, curbing emergencies requires concerted effort. So it is about us joining hands. And we are going to reach out to 13 counties, supporting them with food relief, cash transfers through vouchers and unconditional cash transfers. We are also going to do some destocking. Destocking is livestock offtake. Buying, it means...
you buy the livestock?
Yeah, we buy livestock from the pastoralist, especially the weak animals. It's like offloading the burden from these pastoralists. They sell weak animals, but healthy. We give them around 10 to 15,000 Kenya shillings, buy the meat. We buy the meat, and it's slaughtered at the community level after inspection, and then the meat is distributed to the community. So the pastoralists gain twice.
They
through
get money
cash
for the livestock, and also they have the meat.
And they have the meat.
Okay.
So those are the kind of activities that we're going to do. And cash transfers, giving out money, around 3,000 Kenya shillings per household. What we are seeing now is that the income, there's a lot of income losses. The drought-affected communities do not have purchasing power, because, you know, the livestock have died. The farmers did not get crops. There was a lot of losses as a result of the drought. There was no rain. There were a lot of pests, crop pests and diseases. So there was a lot of losses. So what we are seeing amongst these affected communities is loss of income. And good thing about this country, the markets have food. So markets are functioning in most of the arid and semi-arid lands. By giving them cash, we are empowering them, boosting their purchasing power. So they'll be able to access food from the local markets. Okay. And in one way, the local economy will be boosted. The reason
why I was actually asking about the 1 billion shillings is because when we think about it, 1 billion shillings maybe to the government may not, it's a lot of money, it's not pocket change, but it may not be that much. Put it at 2 billion and maybe we'll take care of a bigger segment of Kenyans. Why is it that we are always raising money at the last minute, whereas this is something that we foresaw? Yeah. How can we do this differently?
Yeah, that is a very big problem, because I think in this country, and not just this country, even in the East African region, like Ethiopia, Tanzania, where they're experiencing drought. In Kenya, we are always very reactive to crisis instead of applying the preventive approach to crisis. Yes. So it's like we ignore the early warnings that you're talking about. They are being provided on monthly basis. As early as August, we knew that we would experience this crisis that we have right now. Very few agencies started working towards it. Like for Kenya Red Cross in Kilifi, we got the early warning and we started talking to some of our donors. They gave us money. And through that funding, we started supporting some farmers in communities there that had started showing they were being affected by the drought. So we have been giving cash transfers since October, November, and December, up to now in Kilifi. And remember, Kilifi, by that time, August, September, it was at alarm stage. So it's like we arrested the situation before it escalated. So thanks to us and other donors who supported us, we went to Kilifi early, and we arrested the situation. So it is a problem that we have in this country of being reactive rather than proactive.
Okay, yeah. I know Red Cross really comes in to almost like a bridge, to bridge the gap. And you've come up with some very creative ways of ensuring that Kenyans can participate, apart from just giving towards this kitty of 1 billion shillings? There was an initiative I read about, and maybe you can expound on that, where you can adopt. How does that work? Adopt a family.
Or adopt a family, embrace a family.
Embrace a family.
Embrace a family, yes. And glad that most of the people, like the governor of Marsabit, has embraced 50 families. 50? Yes.
Wow.
Our own CEO, Abbas Goulet, Dr. Abbas Goulet, has embraced 50 families. And I'm going to embrace a number of families. I hope you're going to embrace families
Once
as well.
I know how it works.
Okay, fine.
Maybe I need to know how it works first.
Okay, so how it works is actually, as I had mentioned earlier, and you even know that 2 million Kenyans are facing starvation.
Right.
So what we are saying is, if you cannot help or feed 100 people or 1,000 people, at least feed one person or support one person. And this is a philosophy or saying by Mother Teresa. So for us at Kenya Red Cross, we are encouraging Kenyans to come forward and support other Kenyans. We are all Kenyans. So support 1, 2, 3, 4, depending on your capacity, individuals, by giving them 3,000 Kenya shillings, that is $30 a month. For the next 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, you will have helped somebody.
Okay.
I don't think as Kenyans, we should just sit and see other Kenyans dying with hunger.
So now this 3,000 shillings is per individual or per family?
Per family.
Per family.
Yes.
A family can have 5, can have 10, can have 15.
Yes.
How does it distribute the 3,000?
We're just saying this is just the minimum amount that you can provide. But if you can provide 6,000, 9,000, 10,000, just provide whatever you can. But we are saying this is the minimum amount that an individual can support a family. So adopt a family, embrace a family that I need in the arid and semi-arid lands. We have now 23 counties that are food insecure, and more than 2 million Kenyans who are facing starvation, and it is real.
It is real.
It's real.
Now, on the article that I read on embracing a family, it had also talked about one almost being able to know which family you've embraced, and if need be, you can even follow it up yourself. How does that work?
Actually, it's possible because for Kenya Red Cross, we are in all the 47 counties. And we are also in these 23 counties that are affected by drought. And for Kenya Red Cross, we are saying we are going to support 13 out of these 23. So in these 13 out of 23, we have a presence there. We have volunteers, we have staff who are working there. So once we get this support from Kenyans, and somebody wants to follow that household that we are supporting, we can be taking them there with the media, and they'll be able to see. And we even will be giving out cash by mobile phone. So I think it's going to be very easy to access these families. We'll give out the numbers of the beneficiaries to the ones who will be able to donate, not to the entire, because of the privacy and all that.
Okay.
But it's going to be very easy to follow up. Just like we did in Kenyans for Kenyans, I think it was very open, and Kenyans knew what we supported other Kenyans with.
An accountable way that Kenyans could follow up.
Yes.
Now, for us to come up, or for Red Cross, to give them credit for what they have done, to come up with these initiatives, normally it is because the government has failed, because ideally there should be a reserve fund that is for such instances, especially when we know that it is coming. The question here then would be, given that the Red Cross is stepping in, are you pressuring or requesting, maybe might be the right word to use, the government to chip into this? Because here are Kenyans literally helping our brothers and sisters, and we're doing that willingly, but it's because of a failed system that should have taken care of that. Are they participating in any way?
The government, both the national and county government, they are participating. They are participating through the National Drought Management Authority. What we are seeing in these counties is that the government is doing livestock offtake. They are also giving cash transfers, and they are giving food, relief food. So what Kenya Red Cross is doing is just complementing their efforts. We are working with them. Kenya Red Cross, as you know, we are an auxiliary. We have auxiliary role to the government, both national and county. So we are just supporting. And other agencies, I think they are also supporting. The government is working, actually, and it's something that we commend. So what we are seeing is that more effort needs to be put in place. I know the government has committed through the Ending Drought Emergency Framework by 2022 that through concerted efforts, support from other agencies and themselves, they would end emergencies, drought emergencies to be specific. So by 2022. And some of the areas that they are focusing on is security, human capital, that is education, nutrition, and health, and also building infrastructure. The government has been doing Galana, this Galana project, which is commendable, But they need to scale up, not one project in one particular area, but it has to be widespread because I think 80% of this country is arid and semi-arid lands, and there is food insecurity in those areas, chronic from one generation to the other. So massive investment need to be put in place of water and food security. Yeah.
All right, for Kenyans, of course, the only way may not just be to give towards embracing a family or towards the 1 billion. Are there other ways that one can participate if possibly economically you're not able?
Okay. If economically, if they're not able to provide... If they're
not able to give money, are there other things or ways that they can participate? For instance, we may even have farmers who are watching and maybe might feel, I don't have the 3,000 shillings, but I have crops, I have animals. Are there ways they can participate?
Sure. They can participate. All Kenyans should be able to participate. Farmers who have managed, especially in the what we call food basket areas, in the Rift Valley, in the central area, if they have harvested and they have food, these farmers can bring in kind. If it's maize, beans, whatever they have in stock, they can bring to Red Cross, and we're going to ferry them to these arid areas where people are in need. And if they have livestock, they can sell. They can sell the livestock, get money, and send to contribute in cash to Kenya Red Cross.
What about volunteers? Does that come in any place? Can one help in that area?
Definitely. What we are looking at is, I told you that we are planning to do nutrition outreaches. And nutrition outreaches, health and nutrition outreaches, we need nutritionists. We need health personnel, like the nurses, because in health and nutrition outreaches, we have treatment to minor ailments, we have malnutrition screening. So we are saying if anybody has these skills and they are available, they can come to us and volunteer. We will go with them to these areas, reach out to these people, and offer those services. Actually, as we are speaking, places like Mandera, Wajir, Lamu, Turkana, those are conflict-prone areas. And humanitarian access has been curtailed because of the insecurity. Who wants to go to Lamu now? Lamu is very close to Somalia, and the sporadic attacks by Al-Shabaab. So Mandera and Wajir and Garissa, we know that even the services, health services, education services, have been affected because of the insecurity. So anybody, a courageous Kenyan, can join us. In Kenya Red Cross, we go to those areas where others don't access easily, like Mandera. We are there. We are always there, which is our value proposition. They come with us, we'll go there, offer services to the people who are in need. In Lamu, for instance, now, our teams are on the ground. They have been doing assessments, nutrition assessments. Malnutrition levels have gone as high as 26, the GAM rate, global acute malnutrition, 26%. That is too high. It is an emergency level. And if you look at such a scenario, it's not just the rains that failed. There are so many factors that have contributed. Insecurity, no one wants to go there and support, like humanitarian operations have been reduced because of that. And then even it's very far away, hard to reach areas. Like we are told that in some of the islands, water, a 20 liters jerrycan is being sold at 120 Kenya shillings. So an island like that, people might think that, okay, it's at the coast, things are okay. They're not okay.
They're not okay.
So what I'm saying, and based on what you asked, if there's a Kenyan who is willing to offer services and support and volunteer, they should come to us, register with us. We'll have a database, write them in our database, and activate them whenever there's need. Because we are actually on the ground at the moment, doing assessments and responding at the same time. With the cash transfers, destocking, yeah, and health and nutrition outreaches are ongoing as well. So anybody who is willing to come, let them come. Anybody who is willing
and able to come on board,
let them come.
You'd advise them on how to go ahead.
We'll
Now,
really appreciate it.
You've mentioned something which is important, and that's the fact that some of these arid areas may not just be as a result of drought. It's multiple causes that may do that. And they say, give a man a fish and you've really not helped him, teach him to fish, and maybe you've empowered them. Now, are there ways that we can deal or help these communities over and above so that, because again, if you think about it, when you're always receiving aid, it's dehumanizing. You always don't want to be on the receiving end. Are there ways we can empower them to a point where they can prepare better as well?
Yeah. The ending drought emergency, I'll go back to that. Ending drought emergency framework is very, very important. It has very good principles, and it's a very good document that, or rather framework that will lead us to ending drought by 2022. If all the agencies, the government, and even the Kenyans themselves will follow it, we are going to reduce or end the drought emergencies completely. And so a common mwananchi, this person who is affected by drought, year in, year out, how they can be empowered is through the social protection, which is in the end drought emergency. That social protection aspect is clearly outlined in it. And social protection aspects are the cash transfers. You know, when you give somebody cash transfer, that person will meet immediate food needs, and definitely they'll be able to save. Like on monthly, regular cash transfers, they'll be able to save, and they can start businesses. And we've seen that working in 2011 when there was drought in this country. We did cash transfers, emergency cash transfers. And some livelihoods were changed, actually, because we were giving them cash on a monthly basis for 6 months. And when we went back there to find out how they were using this cash, is that some of them had even started businesses. And I'm sure even now, maybe their businesses are flourishing. They could be one of the people who are the vendors, people who are selling goods and services to others. So their lives have changed. There are people who have changed as a result of the social protection programs. So that one has to continue. It's a way of empowering communities, meeting the immediate needs and long-term ones.
And long-term needs.
Yeah,
all right.
And also training communities and enabling, training them, telling them that they have to grow drought-tolerant crops. You know, in Kenya, Kenyans believe that maize is the staple food. We are relying on maize terribly. So
and
it's
maize
about
doesn't
time.
seem to have the resilience to, beat the weather conditions if they're not favorable.
Yes. And that the weather has proved us wrong because many times we over-rely on maize, and it has really disappointed us. So it's about time that we go to these drought-tolerant crops like cassava, sweet potatoes, sorghum, millet, such kind of crops. Yeah. Okay. And also the livestock farmers, at the moment, they should be able to off-take their livestock. I know their livestock to pastoralists is so dear to them, but it's about time that they off-take. Sell them, sell the weak ones, get money. The proceeds that they get, they buy feeds and feed the important livestock, like the ones that are lactating and in calf. Yeah. And then when the drought ends, God willing, they'll be able to restock with the money that they'll have gotten.
All right.
Yeah.
So as we wind up, what's your appeal to Kenyans? What is it that you'd want Kenyans to know, given that we have our brothers and sisters literally who are dying of starvation? And this is not likely to improve if the weatherman is anything to go by, because he has already given a prediction that we're not about to see the rain starting soon.
Yeah, I think the earliest time that the weatherman is saying the rain would come is April. April. And if rains come in April, meaning that the harvest would take place in June, July. Right. So we have a long way. We have a long way to go. Yeah. And if no urgent and appropriate actions are taken now and June, we'll see ourselves in an emergency mode. Remember, in 2011, around 4.5 million Kenyans were affected by drought. And at that time, there were even hunger-related deaths. We don't want to reach there. I would appeal, we are appealing, as Kenya Red Cross, we are appealing to Kenyans that we should not see our fellow Kenyans dying of hunger. Rather, we need to come forward and support them. What we did in 2011, we came together, joined hands through Kenyans for Kenyans initiative. What we are saying today is that we are having the second version of the Kenyans for Kenyans, where we are appealing to Kenyans to come forward and support their fellow Kenyans, and no Kenyan should die of hunger.
Of hunger.
And if you're not able to feed 100, at least feed one.
Okay.
So embrace your fellow Kenyan, embrace a family, and let's help each other.
All right. Thank you very much, Laila Chepkemboi, who's the Special Programs Manager for Red Cross. We appreciate and thank you for giving us that information. So that's where we're going to wind up Weekend Express this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Do have yourselves a wonderful Sunday. God bless.